Tears in the dust. The twin suns of the desert planet burned hot above. Wind blew across the empty trade post, lifting fine red dust into the air. The air smelled dry, like metal and old oil. Shops stood quiet, most with broken signs and rusted roofs. People passed quickly, heads down, trying to finish their business and leave. But among them, near a stack of old crates, sat a tiny alien girl. Her skin was light blue. Her body was thin and weak. Her clothes were torn and far too big for her. She held a broken food can in her hands, trying to drink the last few drops. Her big silver eyes looked around at the people walking by. No one stopped. No one looked at her. She whispered with dry lips, "Please help me." But no one listened. The girl hadn't eaten for 2 days. Her parents, miners from the outer colony, had died last cycle in a tunnel collapse. Since then, the trade post owner, a large angry alien named Brox, had thrown her outside, calling her useless extra weight. No ship captain wanted her. No alien family offered help. She was too weak to work and too young to beg properly. In this world, that meant she was invisible. She curled into a ball behind the crates. Her little hands covered her ears as laughter and shouts echoed from the market square. Then she heard it, the sound of a human ship. The engines were louder, older, and heavier than alien crafts. It landed with a hard bump at Dock 7. Dust blew everywhere as the engines shut down. Curious traders turned to look. Humans didn't visit this post often. From the ramp walked a man. He wore a brown flight jacket and heavy boots. His face was rough from travel and a small scar ran down his left cheek. He was holding a data pad, scanning the shops for fuel. His name was Jack Karen, a cargo pilot from Earth. Just another man passing through? Or so he thought. As he walked past the crates, he heard something. A soft cry. He stopped and looked. There, in the shadow of broken metal, sat the little girl. Her head was down, arms wrapped around her knees, shaking. Jack looked around. No one else seemed to care. He stepped closer. "Hey," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "Are you okay?" The girl slowly raised her head. Her eyes met his. For a second, she looked afraid, but then her eyes filled with tears. She crawled forward and grabbed his boot tightly. "Please," she sobbed. "Please, be my father." Jack froze. "What? What did you say?" "Please, don't leave me. I'll be good. I'll work. I'll cook. I'll clean. Just don't leave me alone." People nearby turned their heads. Some laughed. Others shook their heads in disgust. Brox, the trade post owner, stepped forward, smirking. "She's been causing trouble," Brox growled. "Threw her out days ago. No one wants her." Jack looked back at the girl. Her hands trembled as she held onto his boot. Her eyes, they were full of pure pain. Real pain. The kind that doesn't lie. "Is she your child?" someone asked Jack. He paused. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't a rich man. Just a lonely traveler with a ship that barely worked. But something inside him said, "This is not right." "She is now," Jack said finally. The crowd went quiet. Brock stepped closer. "Now hold on. You can't just take her. That's against regulation." Jack stood up, lifting the girl into his arms. She felt light, like feathers. She clung to his jacket and didn't look back. "I'm not asking," Jack said firmly. Brox growled, "You'll regret this, human." Jack didn't reply. He walked back toward his ship, the girl safe in his arms. As he reached the ramp, the girl whispered, "Thank you, Daddy." Jack paused, stunned. Then he smiled slightly and nodded. He didn't know what would happen next. He didn't even know her name yet, but he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving her behind. Not today. Not ever. Inside the ship, the hum of old engines echoed like a heartbeat. Jack carefully laid the small alien girl on the passenger bed. The room was small, just metal walls, storage lockers, and a flickering light. But to her it felt like a palace. She stared up at the ceiling, blinking. Her small fingers clutched the blanket Jack had given her. She hadn't seen kindness in a long time. Jack knelt beside her. "What's your name, kid?" She stayed quiet for a moment, then whispered, "Nara." "Okay, Nara," Jack said softly. "You hungry?" She nodded. Her eyes didn't lie. He got up, opened a food pack, and handed her a warm ration square. It wasn't much, just old protein bar and rehydrated fruit, but she held it like treasure. She didn't eat fast. She took slow, careful bites, as if afraid it would vanish. Jack watched her. There were questions in his mind, big ones. Why was she alone? Why didn't anyone care? And what kind of galaxy left a child like her to beg strangers to be her father? After she finished eating, he sat down across from her. "You want to tell me what happened?" She looked down, playing with a thread in the blanket. Then she spoke, her voice low and soft. "My mama and papa worked in the deep mines, far away. We lived in a tent. It was cold, but they always smiled. One day, the tunnels fell, rocks everywhere. Papa didn't come back. Mama tried to save him, but she didn't come back either." She swallowed hard, but tears formed. I waited. I waited a long time. Then the company ship dropped me here. Said someone would take me. But no one came." Jack's jaw tightened. He'd seen many things in the galaxy. Wars, hunger, cruelty. But hearing a child speak like this made something burn in his chest, Nara continued. "I slept behind the fuel tanks. Brox caught me. He said I was trash and he threw my things away." Jack didn't speak for a moment. He just nodded, slowly. Nara's silver eyes locked with his. "Why did you stop, human?" she asked. "Why didn't you walk away like the others?" Jack looked at her. "Because I used to be like you." She blinked. He leaned back in the chair. "My parents died in a reactor fire when I was 6. Earth was full of people, but I was still alone. I slept in alleys, under broken rails. One day, an old man found me, gave me food, a blanket, and a name. He said no one deserves to be forgotten. I guess that stayed with me." Nara listened like it was the first story she ever heard. But suddenly, a loud ping echoed from the console. Jack stood, checking the screen. His face darkened. "Someone reported me," he muttered. "Trade security flagged my ID. I've got 10 minutes before enforcers land." Nara sat up, frightened. "Are they coming for me?" He turned toward her. "They'll say it's for Hughes, but really they don't want anyone questioning how they treat orphans like you." He moved fast. He flipped switches, powered up engines, and sealed the hatch. "You trust me?" he asked. She nodded, eyes wide. "Then hold tight." The ship roared to life. Dust burst around the dock. A red warning light flashed. "Unauthorized launch detected." 2 security ships scrambled from the station. "Here we go," Jack whispered, gripping the controls. Nara climbed into the co-pilot seat. Her small hand gripped the edge. Outside, the enforcer ship blared. "Human vessel, return to dock. You are holding unregistered minor property." Jack growled, "She's not property." He hit the thrusters. The ship shot forward, dodging through scrap piles and broken towers. The enforcer ships followed fast. Lasers buzzed past the hull. Nara covered her ears. "Hang on!" Jack shouted, spinning the ship through a narrow rock arch. The enemy ships tried to follow, but one clipped the wall and exploded. The other backed off, waiting for reinforcements. Jack pushed the engines harder. After a few tense minutes, the stars opened wide. They reached orbit and jumped into hyperspeed. The ship shook, lights flickered, then silence. They were safe. For now. Jack exhaled and looked over. Nara was holding a stuffed animal from the storage bin, a tiny plush alien cat. She whispered, "Is this really happening?" Jack smiled. "Yeah, kid, you're not alone anymore." For the first time, Nara smiled too. The ship floated quietly through deep space. Stars stretched in long white lines around the vessel as it cruised in hyperspeed. Inside, the silence felt almost peaceful, until the alarm beeped again. Jack checked the console. A red signal blinked. Tracked. He slammed the panel. They tagged us before the jump, damn it. Nara sat in the corner, hugging the little plush alien cat he'd given her. She didn't understand the console's language, but she saw the worry on his face. Are they coming? She asked, voice soft. Jack gave her a weak smile. Yeah, but not yet. We've got some time. He set the ship on auto and walked back, toward her. You doing okay? She nodded. I had a dream. You were still there. And I wasn't cold anymore. He looked at her for a long second, then pulled out a water bottle and handed it to her. But before he could speak again, the proximity alarm blared. Ping, ping, ping. Jack rushed to the cockpit, a station ahead. Not military, a floating scrapyard. Jack made a decision fast. We'll land here, hide the ship, figure out what's going on. He brought the vessel down onto the edge of the scrapyard, careful not to draw attention. As the ship powered down, Jack stood and turned to Nara. Stay close to me, don't speak unless I say. We need to move carefully. She nodded and followed him, her tiny hand wrapped around his glove. The scrapyard was huge, floating towers of broken metal, half-buried ships, old robots, and alien junk stacked high. Machines crawled over the piles like insects, taking things, apart piece by piece. In the middle of the scrapyard was an old bar, lit by flickering green lights. Jack walked in, Nara behind him. Inside, strange creatures sipped on steaming mugs. A thick alien smell filled the air, part oil, part sweat. Jack walked up to the counter. A fat reptilian barkeep with oily scales looked up. Jack Karen, he hissed. Haven't seen you in years. I need info, Drog, Jack said. The barkeep looked down at Nara. You breeding now, human? Jack's face darkened. She's under my care. That's all you need to know. Drog laughed. Sure, what's the info? I need to know who reported me at the trade post and why. Drog pulled up a dusty screen. After a few minutes of clicking, he paused. His face changed. You really don't know who she is? Jack frowned. She's just a kid. Drog shook his head slowly. No, Jack. She's not just a kid. Her name is Nara of Veltan, last survivor of House Veltan, a royal family, old bloodline, very old. Her parents were in hiding. That mining accident? It wasn't an accident. It was a cleansing. Jack froze. Someone wanted them dead? Drog nodded. She's a political threat, a loose heir. The people in power don't want her to live. If someone adopts her like you could gain legal rights over her bloodline. Jack's chest tightened. So that's why they're chasing us. They don't want her saved, Jack. They want her forgotten. From behind, Nara tugged his coat. I'm dangerous? She whispered. Jack turned and knelt in front of her. No, kid. You're just important, and that scares bad people. Suddenly, the bar door slammed open. 2 enforcer soldiers stepped. In, he's here! One shouted. Jack grabbed Nara and ducked. Blasters fired. A bottle exploded above their heads. He ran through the back exit, holding her close. Hold on tight! They ran into the scrapyard maze. Jack zigzagged between piles of metal, ducking under old engines and sliding down broken ramps. Get them alive, shouted the soldiers behind them. Jack spotted a ventilation tunnel. He pushed Nara in first, then followed quickly. Inside, it was dark and tight. She breathed fast, scared, but silent. Finally, after crawling through for minutes, they reached a hatch near the landing bay. Jack kicked it open. His ship sat there, unprotected. They ran. Back in the cockpit, Jack powered the engines. We're not running anymore, he said. Nara held the side of the chair. Then what? We're going to someone I trust. As the ship lifted off, he activated an old ID cloak to hide their signal. Nara looked at him. You don't have to do this. I don't want to cause trouble. Jack looked at her gently. You didn't cause the trouble, Nara. They did. He touched the control panel. But I'm going to finish it. Darkness had fallen over the outer rings of the galaxy. The stars above looked cold and distant as Jack's ship flew through hidden space lanes away from patrols and scanners. He had turned off all major signals, flying blind through asteroid shadows and forgotten trade tunnels. Nara sat curled in the co-pilot seat, watching him silently. Her fingers played with the frayed ear of her stuffed alien toy. She hadn't said a word since they left the scrapyard. Jack glanced at her. "You okay?" She nodded. "Just scared." He sighed and adjusted the controls. "You're allowed to be. I'm scared too." She looked surprised. "But you're strong." Jack smiled faintly. "Even strong people get scared. That's how we know something is worth protecting." The ship beeped. Incoming ping. Unidentified vessel trailing. Jack's face tensed. He flicked a switch to open the rear camera. A sleek silver ship followed in the distance. No markings, no warning signals, just silent pursuit. "There, back," he muttered. Nara whispered. "Who are they?" Jack zoomed in. Not enforcers. Worse, bounty hunters. Inside the hunter ship, 3 beings sat in the dark. One had jagged metal arms, another wore a helmet with glowing red eyes, and the third was silent, only breathing in deep growls. On their screen, Nara's face blinked. Under it, live contract, high value, royal bloodline. "This time," said the metal-armed one, "we take the child. No mistakes." Back in Jack's ship, the chase had begun. He punched the engines. "Hold on!" The ship shot forward, diving between ice rocks and debris clouds. The bounty hunters followed with perfect precision, matching every twist. Jack swerved. Near an abandoned fuel station, a piece of old machinery scraped the hull. "We can't outrun them forever," Jack said. "They're faster, smarter, better equipped." Nara clung to her seat. "Then what do we do?" He looked at her, eyes sharp now. "We make them chase us into the dark." Jack led the enemy toward the grave of ships, a legendary dead zone, filled with the wreckage of thousands of battleships from an old war. Navigation there was suicide. Systems went blind. Magnetic storms raged without warning. As they neared it, warning signs flashed red on his screen. Danger. No exit. Sensor. Blackout zone. Jack grinned. Perfect. He entered. Instantly, the stars vanished. The ship was surrounded by floating bones of metal giants, destroyed cruisers, broken weapons, shattered space pods. Silence fell over everything. The only sound was the slow hum of the reactor. Jack cut all lights and systems except for life support. Now they were invisible. Nara whispered, "Is this a graveyard?" Jack nodded. "Yeah, the galaxy's forgotten battlefield." The bounty hunters followed in, but they weren't as careful. Their engines glowed, their radar pinged. That's what Jack was waiting for. He powered on his stealth drive and drifted silently behind a broken war frigate. He checked Nara. "Time to hide, kid. Get in the maintenance crawl space. Stay there. Don't come out unless I say." Nara obeyed, crawling into the tiny hallway under the cockpit. Jack sealed it behind her and turned back to the screen. The hunter ship came close. Too close. Jack powered a single engine burst and shot upward. A missile fired from the hunter ship, but it hit the floating corpse of an old battlecruiser instead. The explosion lit the sky for a second. Jack spun the ship around and fired his flares. Bright lights and metal shards flew in every direction. Confused, the hunters lost track. One shouted, "Where did he go?" Jack used the moment to slip into a narrow wreck tunnel and rerouted his course. They searched, but they didn't find him. 1 hour later, Jack and Nara emerged from the other side of the graveyard. The stars returned. The space ahead was calm again. Jack finally spoke into the crawlspace hatch. "You okay?" Nara crawled out, eyes wide. "That was loud." He chuckled, tired. "Yeah, but it worked." She looked up at him. "You saved me again?" He looked at her seriously now. "No, Nara. We saved each other. I've been flying alone for a long time, maybe too long, She smiled, and this time it wasn't just out of relief. It was real. But then another signal blinked on the screen. Incoming transmission. Encrypted. From contact. The Watcher Jack's eyes narrowed. They found us again, he whispered. Or someone else did. The stars outside twinkled softly now like distant fireflies in a sea of black. Inside the ship, Jack sat still, eyes fixed on the blinking message. Encrypted incoming signal sender. The Watcher. Message. You're not safe. Bring the child. To me. Jack leaned back in the chair. The Watcher. I hoped I'd never hear that name again. From behind, Nara peeked out of the hallway, her eyes full of quiet fear. Who's the Watcher? Jack didn't answer at first. He walked to the back of the ship and opened a locked compartment. Inside were old files, dusty weapons, and a rusted badge with Earth's old emblem. Jack picked up a small data pad, wiped it, and connected it to the screen. The Watcher, Jack finally said, isn't a person, not exactly. It's a name used by someone who collects secrets, lost things, and people like you. Nara hugged her knees. So, he's bad? Jack paused. No, not bad, not good either. Just dangerous and powerful. He opened the full message. A set of coordinates appeared, an icy moon in a system Jack knew from the war. I think he knows the truth, Jack whispered. About you. 3 hours later, the ship landed on Virex 9. A frozen moon wrapped in dark storms and thick clouds. The ice cracked under their boots as Jack and Nara stepped out. A figure stood ahead, tall, wrapped in a gray cloak, face hidden. Jack Karen, the voice echoed strangely. I told you we'd meet again. Jack raised his hand. You called me. I'm here. The Watcher stepped closer. He didn't walk. He glided, like his feet never touched the ground. You've brought her. Nara hid behind Jack. She's scared, Jack said. And she has every reason to be. People are trying to kill her. The Watcher nodded. Because she is not just a child. She is a living symbol. Her blood holds ancient rights, power the current rulers fear. Jack looked down at Nara. She doesn't want power. She just wants family. Then give her that, the Watcher said calmly. But first you must understand what they're willing to do. He waved his hand. A hologram appeared. Images of tall alien leaders sitting in a black chamber. Their faces were cold and cruel. One of them slammed a fist on the table. The girl must not survive. If she is found, House Veltan's claim returns. The people will remember. The rebellion will grow. Kill her. Kill the human too. Jack's eyes narrowed. So it's true. This isn't just about her. It's about control. The Watcher nodded. And your kindness has made you a threat. Nara stepped forward, her voice shaking. Why me? I didn't do anything. No, the Watcher said softly. You didn't. But your very life is hope. Jack stepped in front of her again. So what now? Hide forever? Run until we burn out? The Watcher reached into his cloak and handed Jack a small cube. This is a sealed identity code. Use it to change your names, your ship, your life. Disappear. Jack took the cube but didn't move. You're just letting us go? I help those who carry truth, the Watcher said, but I cannot protect you again. As the storm around them grew stronger, Jack and Nara returned to the ship. Inside, Jack stared at the cube. Nara sat beside him. Can we really start again, she asked. He smiled. Yeah, we'll pick a planet, somewhere quiet, somewhere with sun, and maybe cows. She giggled. What's a cow? He laughed. You'll love them. They're big, smelly, but kind. But before he could say more, the alert system beeped again. This time, it wasn't a message. 2 enemy ships approaching fast. Jack cursed. They found us again. He jumped into the pilot seat. Hold on. The ship roared to life, kicking up snow as it lifted from the icy surface. Outside, The enemy ships closed in. Blaster fire lit up the sky. Jack turned sharply, dodging between mountain peaks. One of the enemy ships clipped a ridge and exploded. The second stayed behind, firing steadily. Jack activated the new identity cube. The ship's color, code, and signature changed in seconds. Now they were ghosts. The enemy ship lost the lock. After a long moment, it turned away. Silence returned. Jack slumped back in the seat. We're clear, for now. Nara looked at him, eyes shining. You didn't run from me, even when it was hard. Jack smiled, tired but proud. That's what fathers do, Atam. Stars were calm again. Jack's ship, now running under a new name and signal, drifted quietly through safe space. The engines hummed softly, and for the first time in days there were no alarms, no warnings, no chasing ships. Inside, Jack sat at the table, sipping from a metal cup. Across from him, Nara was curled up in a thick blanket, her tiny body finally relaxed. Her silver eyes followed the warm steam rising from her cocoa. It was the first real drink she'd had since they escaped the icy moon. Jack watched her with quiet care. How does it taste? He asked. Nara took a slow sip. She blinked, then gave a small smile. It's sweet. It feels safe. Jack chuckled. That's exactly how it's supposed to feel. They sat in silence for a while. Not awkward silence. Peaceful. The kind that grows between people who have already been through the worst together. Then Nara broke it. Jack, am I really your daughter now? He looked at her seriously. You want to be? She nodded quickly. More than anything. Jack put down his cup and leaned forward. I didn't know what I was doing when I picked you up back at that station. I just saw someone who needed help. But since then, you've made this ship feel like home. You laugh. You ask big questions. You remind me why I became a pilot in the first place, because I wanted to find something real in the stars. He reached into his coat and pulled out a thin metal chain. At the end was a silver badge shaped like Earth's old family crest. My father gave me this. Said when I was ready to be a real man, I'd pass it on. Jack gently placed the necklace around her neck. I think I'm ready now. Nara touched the badge. Her hands trembled. I've never had anything that was mine, she whispered. You have a name, Jack said. You have a place. You have someone who won't ever leave you behind. Tears filled her eyes. But this time, they were happy ones. Later that night, the ship drifted into orbit above a small green moon. Jack had chosen it on purpose, a farming world with peaceful people and no interest in politics or war. He landed the ship near a hillside where birds flew low, and soft wind made the grass dance. He and Nara stepped out together. The sun warmed their faces. Real sun. Children played nearby. A dog barked joyfully. Nara reached down and picked a flower. It smells funny, she giggled. That's called fresh air, Jack grinned. Takes some getting used to. They walked toward a quiet village where homes were built into hillsides, and old farmers waved hello. A woman named Mara, who ran a small shop, welcomed them kindly. She had kind eyes and strong hands. Jack asked if they could stay a few nights. Mara looked at Nara and smiled. Any child carrying that badge, she said, has a place here. That evening, Nara helped Jack build a small fire outside the ship. She roasted root vegetables while Jack fixed an old music player. Tomorrow, Jack said, we'll start building. I saw an empty cabin up the hill. Needs work, but with some time, we could make it ours. Nara beamed. Can I have a room? With a round window? You can have two, Jack laughed. One for you and one for your stuffed cat. They both laughed, and for the first time the sound wasn't followed by fear. As stars appeared above, Nara leaned against Jack's side. I still remember the dust, she said quietly. The cold. How no one saw me. I saw you, Jack said. She looked up at him. And you stayed? He nodded. Because I chose to. She smiled and whispered, then I choose you too. Dad? Jack's throat tightened. He wrapped an arm around her and pulled her close. For once in his life, the stars didn't seem so empty. Morning sunlight bathed the quiet hills in golden light. Birds sang in the trees above the village. Jack stood outside the small wooden cabin he and Nara had worked on for a week. The roof was patched, the windows clean, and smoke rose gently from the chimney. Inside, Nara was still asleep in her new bed, warm, safe, her favorite stuffed alien cat resting beside her. Jack stepped onto the porch, sipping tea. For the first time in years, peace lived in his chest, but peace never stays for long. A sharp whistle echoed through the sky. He looked up. A black, triangular ship pierced the clouds above the village. Its engines growled like a beast. Jack's blood went cold. They found them. Down the hill, villagers panicked. Mothers pulled children into homes. Farmers ran to hide tools. Everyone remembered stories of what such ships meant, imperial authority. Jack dropped his cup and rushed inside. "Nara!" he called. She was already awake, eyes wide. "What's that noise?" "Trouble," Jack said, pulling her into his arms. "Stay behind me." He opened a hidden drawer in the floor and pulled out his old Earth-issued blaster. He hadn't fired it in years, but today wasn't normal. The ship landed just outside the village. Grass burned beneath its heat. A loud hiss, then the ramp dropped. 2 armored figures walked down, followed by a tall alien woman in silver robes, high. Marshal Velrix. She looked around, disgusted. So this is where the royal brat hides? In a dirt house with cattle? Villagers stayed hidden, peeking through windows. No one dared move. Jack stepped forward slowly, Nara behind him. "She's not a brat," he said firmly. "She's a child. My child." Velrix sneered. "That child is a danger to the Order of the Stars. Her blood could start rebellions, end governments. I am here to take her, alive or dead." Jack didn't flinch. "You'll have to kill me. First." "Gladly." She raised her hand. The soldiers aimed. Nara stepped out from behind Jack, trembling. "No, I don't want more people to die because of me." Jack turned to her. "This isn't your fault." But Nara walked past him. Her voice was quiet but strong. "I'm tired of running. If I go with you, will you leave him alone?" Velrix smirked. "Such bravery. Useless, but brave." Jack stepped between them again. "She's not going anywhere." Then something unexpected happened. The villagers came out, one by one. Farmers, mothers, children. Mara stepped forward with a rake in hand. "You'll have to take all of us too." Velrix blinked. "You'd protect her?" Mara nodded. "She's one of ours now. We don't give up family." Velrix growled. "Fools, all of you." She raised her weapon, but before she could fire, boom, a blast struck from above. A silver ship dove from the clouds. It was the Watcher. Jack's comm crackled. "I said I wouldn't protect you again, Jack. I lied." The Watcher's ship fired, again disabling Velrix's transport. The soldiers tried to fire, but the villagers charged. Jack, leading them, tackled one to the ground. Mara struck the other with her rake. Velrix screamed, but a tranquilizer dart from the Watcher silenced. Her seconds later, it was over. Smoke drifted from the burning ship. The villagers cheered. Jack dropped to one knee, tired. Nara ran to him and hugged him tight. "You didn't let them take me," she whispered. He hugged her back, eyes wet. "Never, never, ever." Later, that evening, the sun dipped low over the hills. The villagers had a small feast. Music played, children danced. Even the Watcher joined, standing quietly in the shadows. Jack and Nara sat on the porch of their cabin, watching the stars appear. One by one, "Will they come again?" she asked. "Maybe," Jack said. "But now, they know you're not alone. You have a home. You have people who'll fight for you." She leaned on his arm. "And I have you." He smiled. brushing a strand of hair from her face. Yeah, you have me. She looked up at him. And you'll always be my dad. Jack nodded, holding her close as the stars shimmered above them.